Tacos.
And we're back. Listen, this is going to be section 2, session 2, 2-for-1 special. I don't know. What are we doing here, Jeff? We've got Ben Baker still.
Buy one, get one.
Buy one, get one. I like that. BOGO.
Yeah. This is the first time we've had a guest on twice, and we knew that there was a lot of content to cover. And so we broke it into 2 sessions. Ben Baker is a guy I've known for years. He's very experienced in the promotional marketing industry. He's been a PPAI Expo speaker, and he's gone on to do this epic branding for clients up in Canada. So we have gone international with Ben. And so we're coming back now. If you missed the first section, it's on freepromotips.com in FPT TV under Tacos with Jay and Jeff. Boy, imagine that. Tacos with Jay and Jeff.
That's a lot of words to be able to put.
Yeah, or troll our social media. It's out there, Instagram. It's everywhere. But part 1 was really, really good because it lays the groundwork for what we're going to talk about now, and the importance of story brand, telling your brand story, what you stand for and what you want to communicate. So long intro yet again.
Yes,
Ben,
but
Jay,
before that, Jeff,
Yes.
don't forget, we got to spice it up.
Oh my gosh. Because look, here's the deal. This right here, this is the last time for a while until next year that you will be able to get the Tacos with Jay and Jeff spices. And the reason is it's the holiday season. So much is going on at La Tour de Spice. They're moving in a new building, and we're going to be back giving away spices next year. But everybody knows, at least most people know in the US, it's tamale season. The holidays is time for tamales. So the tacos are, they're out there too. But if you want to get your own Tacos with Jay and Jeff spices, there's a form link that will be in the show notes, and just go ahead and submit that thing, get your spices. There's no obligation. It's our gift to you, along with our friends at La Tour de Spice.
Perfect. Well done, my friend.
Well done, Jeff. Well done.
You deserve an award for that. Maybe
you deserve a taco.
QVC, baby.
You deserve a taco for that.
I would say.
Yes.
I would say so.
And I have one.
There you go. Wait a second. There's a taco for you.
There it is.
Yeah,
Tacos up. We did it. Okay, so Ben, guess what? We are here with you. You are our special guest, our subject matter expert. I love the fact that we can find you almost everywhere. We can find you on the sound waves, on the airwaves, online. We can find you in person. We can find you in books. So I didn't say that in the first session, but we are going to flash that up at the end of this one. So this is all about us transitioning from what the definition was, as Jeff said, to maybe some of the strategies and even tactics, if we want to get that specific. But more than that, I thought that we would talk about what are some of the tools in our toolbox that we might use to deploy epic branding and make magical marketing. How about that for alliteration?
That is absolutely phenomenal. And I think the big thing that people need to understand is there is no right way to market. As the expression goes, 50% of marketing works, 50% of marketing doesn't work. The problem is we never know which one it is until we've done it. So the trick is to realize that when you are doing a great marketing campaign, it's multifaceted. There's going to be promo. There's going to be, there's going to be advertising. There's going to be marketing. There could be radio. There could be television. There could be, trade show development. There's
print collateral.
There's
signage.
Podcast signage.
Yep.
There's a variety of different things, and the reason is no two, clients are going to look at your stuff in the same way. Some people like print. Some people like radio. Some people like podcasts. Some people like a tangible item. And you have to realize it is the combination of how all of those things marry together that make a successful campaign, that enable you to tell your story and be able to have the client be successful. Because in the end, our job is to get people to recall, to retell, and to engage. And that's what it's all about. And utilizing a variety of different mediums in concert is what does that effectively.
I love that. I love the idea of doing all of those things in concert. And literally I can see Ben as the conductor, and there's this whole symphony of ideas and options. And what I want to see our audience have is I want to see them not demand in a pushy kind of way or being a bully, but I want them to demand a seat at the table, right? I want them to be there to help execute that amazing work rather than be the afterthought. Oh yeah, and we need to get some of that stuff. What do you call that? The swag.
That swag stuff, okay, fine. Yeah, okay. We don't have any real budget left, but okay, we'll have to buy some stuff. What do you got that's cheap?
Yeah, I got $500. What can I get?
That's the last place in the conversation that you want to be. And how you get a seat at the table and how you become part of the conversation is to be able to speak in the language of your client. You need to be able to understand how do chief marketing officers speak? How do ad agencies speak? How does the marketing department speak? How does the promotional marketing piece that you are going to create dovetail with the overall marketing campaign that they're designing in order to make sure that it fits in, that it's not just an afterthought, that it's not just something, oh yeah, we have a few extra dollars. Yeah, go buy 500 of those. It's sitting there going, wait a second here. This is an integral part of the overall campaign. And it's something that we need to have and we need to schedule budget for, because without it, our campaign is not nearly as good. And that's when you understand the brand story, when you understand what is the client trying to achieve, what is their brand, who are they, what do they do, why do they do it, who do they do it for, why do these people care, and what problems do we solve, what are the objectives we're trying to do by creating this campaign, who is it going out to, what level of person, what do we want these people to do once we get it? Then you can come together and say, wait a second here. No, we can't buy a 69-cent pen because it's going to put it in their pocket and it's going to leak. We're going after a client that's worth $1 million a year to you. Why are we giving them a $2 item? And be able to have those conversations, because when you can sit there and say, listen, what is the lifetime value of this client to you? And what do you want this client to do when they've gone through this campaign?
Right.
You can design a promotional product that dovetails with everything else that they're doing. And more than likely is something custom, it's unique, and it can't be done by somebody else. And that puts you in a unique position to be locked in instead of just being an afterthought.
Yeah, I love that. Brilliant. That's good. That's great advice. Thank you for saying that. Those are important touch points. I love the fact when you're saying learn to speak their language, learn to speak like a chief marketing officer, understand their challenges. What are the things that are keeping them up at night, and then how do we bridge that with the tools in our toolbox, of which obviously for most of us, the primary chief tool that we use is a promotional product. It's some form of branded merchandise. It might be headwear, it might be apparel, it might be whatever it is. But I love the fact that you're working backwards from all of the answers to those questions you just asked. Once you have those, right, then can we arm ourselves with maybe a blend of the tools, or how do we know which ones to deploy, Ben?
Well, it's a matter of taking a look at saying there, okay, where are we going? Where are we going and how are we going to get there together? And it's having that conversation with their ad agency, with their chief marketing officer, with their marketing team, and sit there and say, how is this campaign going to be deployed and over how much time? And then you sit there and say, what if we created a multi-pronged promotional marketing campaign that allowed us to put something in the field in the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter, the fourth quarter. So by the time they get to the third quarter, they're already going, oh my God, we missed the stuff for the first and second quarter. My God, I got to get the stuff that's in the fourth quarter. And it's betting something that people are going to be anticipating, they're going to be looking forward to, and they're going to be excited about. And that's where the differential is. Because it's thinking outside of the box. Too many people in the promotional marketing business, get a flyer, and we've all got them. I've gotten 50 a day that say, this is what's on sale today. This is what's on the discount.
Ben, you're going to trigger Jeff. You're going to trigger.
I know. But you know what? I'm long triggered. Before you even get triggered, I'm already there. And, the first thing they do is they flip that out to their customer list. And, yes, they got something that's cheap, and guess what? It's on an F, and there's only limited quantity. And by the time the customer orders it, they're out of stock of particular sizes or whatever. And then you're running into all those type of issues. Instead of sitting there going, Mr. Customer, what if we created something specific and custom for you? What if we created a leather bag in your corporate colors? What if we created something where the internal lining of this was your brand? It was absolutely clean and beautiful on the outside, but the inside had a lining that had your logo on it. What if we created a pen that was specific to you and only you, and giving this thing out had a story attached to it? It's a matter of sitting there going, but Mr. Customer, this is going to take 6 months to do. Do you have 6 months? If not, how do we build around this? How do we create something that we can get something now and build towards that gotta have product? Because it's about getting the customer excited to the point where they've got to have the idea that you're creating, because it works so well with their overall campaign. But until you can understand their campaign, what are they trying to do? What's their objectives? What's the story that they want their customers to know and remember and act upon? You can't help them. All of a sudden, then you're just that afterthought for that extra 50 mugs or 100 t-shirts.
Yeah, you become the order taker basically at that point.
You are absolutely the order taker, and they're grinding you down to $8 a t-shirt or $4 a mug, because they've got 6 other people that are willing to do that at that price, just to make it, to make $50 that day.
Yeah,
and that's reality, and you need to get out of that game and put yourself in a position where you're speaking the language of the CMO and the agency and the digital department, to be able to sit there and say, okay, where are you going 3 quarters from now? Where are you going a year and a half from now? And let's start talking about that $750,000 program that we can build over the next 18 months.
Yeah, let me jump in and say that, and I wasn't even going to go down this road. What we do is pretty spontaneous here, but when I think about the pandemic and the shakeout of the suppliers and distributors, I think what we're seeing is those that are succeeding, and there are distributors that are succeeding, and we've been privileged to have many of them on our show, and they're the people who are doing this type of thing. And it's almost like we've talked about the great shakeout, or whatever it is, but I think that this commodity stuff seller, 500 pence is going to go to the online people.
Absolutely.
Let it go, because there's no money in it. What we're talking about here is understanding what the client wants to communicate, and be not the stuff seller, but the brand agency. And some of you who may be watching maybe think, oh, I don't know how to do that, or, this is over my head. There are resources that are available, and I don't
Absolutely.
know, we'll ask if, Ben might take questions through when you reach out on LinkedIn or whatever, but there are many sources. So now is the time, and people are going to come out of the pandemic and go, okay, so business is booming and everything's still very weird. I know you're in Canada. It's, completely different up there. So the way business was will never go back.
No.
It might even been where somebody could do so much of that stuff business. They're cool. They're just selling stuff for trade shows and events. And, there's also a thing about responsible sourcing and, the eco thing, and, all
safety.
Those factors.
Don't forget about eco. There's also safety.
Exactly. So that's another big thing. So the people that we have on our show, and those that we, we hang with, okay, shout out to the Common SKU people. I mean, Mark Grant, another Canadian up there. What's going on in Canada? Or spice?
It's the water. It's the beer. We got better beer up here.
Man, I don't know, but there are people that are making things happen, and I think it's a clear definition right now. The stuff should the stuff should just go online, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I'm not even knocking having that online business, but here's where the opportunity is going to be: is helping clients develop their brand.
But here's a great thing, and you talked about 2 things. You talked about eco, and talked about safety, and those are 2 ways that you can differentiate yourself and help your client differentiate themselves. If you can provide a true eco solution. Okay, if you can create a true eco solution and be able to tell an eco story and enable them to tell, listen, we bought promotional marketing pieces that were eco-friendly, that were, that fed through all the different things. They're responsible branded, they're responsibly made, all that kind of stuff. And you could document all that. That's a story that they can tell. And what it does is they can put it on their website, they can put it in their social media, they can put it into the actual product themselves and be able to tell that story.
Right.
And that's a way that they can create that affiliation between them and their clients. And their clients are asking for this stuff right now. Nobody wants another coffee mug or another water bottle, but they will take a water bottle that is ethically sourced, something that is eco-friendly, something that is environmentally conscious, etc., and all that kind of stuff. The same thing goes with safety. I mean, nobody wants to be part of a recall. No, $1 million, billion-dollar company wants to be part of a recall. They don't want to be giving out teddy bears that all of a sudden the eyes fall out of and a kid swallows and chokes. And there's or red paint that's got dye, that's got lead in it.
Right.
And if you can be the responsible, supplier to these people and the advocate of safety and the advocate of saying, hey, listen, I'm going to get my own safety test done. Yes, it's going to cost more money. Absolutely, it's going to cost more money. And we're going to charge you to get these tests done. But you're going to have a certified test, not on something that was done 3 years ago. And because it's the same practice, the supplier is using the same piece. Some suppliers do, some suppliers don't. But if you are creating something that's custom and you get the original certification for that particular item that you produced, that has the safety codes on it, and they can turn around and use that in their marketing, that goes a long way to say, hey, we as a company care. We're making sure that our customers are taken care of to the best of our ability. We're making sure that our employees are being taken care of to the best of our ability.
Right.
And those are stories that companies want to tell. And if you can help them tell that story, if you can find out what are the things that are important to them as part of their culture, the part of their purpose and part of their mission and their vision, and enable them to tell that story through the promotional products that you provide, it becomes part of their overall marketing. And all of a sudden there's budget for that kind of stuff.
I love that. That's absolutely imperative. I like the example. Safety. I mean, perfect way to differentiate yourself. And most people in our industry would not go to those lengths to do that. They would make a giant leap of faith, quotes / assumption, and think that it was already being done. And yeah, I love that. That's a great example. Well, in the spirit of time, I want to keep moving because there's so many good things to still talk about. One of them was we're going to see the thinker again, but we've got some good stuff after that. And podcasts. I know you're big on podcasts, and I know that you are also somebody who has something to say in terms of where that could work, a do it with you or a do it for you program, how that could complement that. And then I'd love to hear this story. I don't know if we have too much time for it, but maybe you could share with us what you were thinking when you said, I want to talk a little bit about Atari and how it evolves, and maybe we can match those two together.
Yeah. And let's take a look at podcasting to begin with, because podcasting is a great way to tell a story. I mean, storytelling is not going anywhere. We've been telling stories since the days of the caveman. We've been getting people to understand what we're trying to achieve, what we're trying to say, have them internalize it, emotionally attached to it, recall it, retell it for thousands, if not tens of thousands of years.
Right.
Podcasting is that next evolution of that. I've been podcasting for 10 years now. And what it enables you to do is be able to give your customers or you the ability to tell your story in a way that allows you to provide the content that makes you valuable. It's not about how wonderful you are. It's not about how important it is. For people in the promo industry, it's talking about case studies. It's talking about, we built this program for this customer. This was the challenge. This is where the headaches were. This is how we survived and thrived through this. And this is what came out of it. Gotcha. And being able to have your customers on your show with you, or having your suppliers on your show with you, enables you to build a level of content that can be told through social media, through your website, through email campaigns, through whatever. And the beautiful thing about podcasts, and this is part of what we do through the Communicate Your Why program, is that you can take your podcast and you can turn it into articles, you can turn it into listicles, you can turn it into short videos, you can turn it into audiograms, you can turn it into tweets, you can turn it into all sorts of different social media.
All that
that's
content.
Short,
yeah,
and it enables you to move that story around, because different people are going to listen to different things. Some people are going to be on Instagram, some people on Facebook, some people on LinkedIn, some people on Twitter. Having the right content for the right medium makes all the difference in the world.
So Ben, would you say, and do you think that it would be a good move for a particular business to start if they've never done a podcast? How would they do that? Is there, I mean, we don't have all day, and I'm sorry, I'm going to ask you a really long question and then try to give you, short answer, keep it to a short answer. But did I understand that you think there's room for people in our industry to start a podcast?
Absolutely. There's always room to start a podcast. Here's reality of the podcasting though. And I'm going to throw a little bit of cold water under the bucket. There's 2.5 million podcasts in the year 2021. Whew. 90% of them fail. And the reason that 90% of them fail is because there isn't a strategic plan. There isn't an objective. They don't understand why they're doing a podcast to begin with. Gotcha. We worked with companies, build the strategy, build out the program, help them through that. And the question is, do you need a whole podcast, or can you come on and people can go to communicateyourwhy.com, find out a little bit more about it, and be part of our podcast network, have our people interview you and give you the kudos and the credit to be able to be part of our podcast network and not have to build one for yourself. So there's lots of different ways to podcast. It's about finding a way that's going to work for you, your company, your brand, your clientele.
I love that there's different ways, different angles to be involved in that. Again, when we started this concept of asking you for advice, tips, insights, etc., that, there were a lot of tools in the toolbox. Podcasts is one of them. If you're not in a position to do it, and people typically get, stuck with the how to, and like, what do I need? The tools, do I have to have the perfect audio equipment, et cetera, et cetera. But if they want more information, they can reach out to you, I guess.
Yeah,
where I'm going.
Go to communicateyourwhy.com. There's all sorts of information there. And if you get to a point where you're actually interested, book a 30-minute free consult with me, and I'm happy to talk to anybody for 30 minutes.
Oh, I love that. I hope our audience will take advantage of that. That's a great offer. Thank you, Ben.
Just don't tell your mom and the whole bridge thing,
No, they won't call. I promise.
Oh,
except to say what an excellent job you did, Ben.
Thank you. And I'll just say it was all Jay. It was all.
Don't know. It's a team deal. But okay, so tell us about the Atari.
Let's talk about Atari.
Let's
talk about Atari, because Atari right now is celebrating their 50th anniversary right now.
Big deal.
And what they've done, if you take a look at the logo on the right.
Oh, let me go back.
Go back to that.
All right, here we go.
If you go back to the logo on the right, coming up, and you take one in the top left, and you take a look at what they've done, is they've gone back to their original roots. They've gone back to the original font. They've gone back to the original, the original look and feel. And what they've done is they've realized that there's power in nostalgia. And what they're trying to do right now is tell a story in nostalgia. We've been around for 50 years. We were one of the first original people in this industry. We were the people. Hey, listen, I had an Atari 2600 as a kid. I'm sure most people, of my generation did. And we all sat there and we have this affinity for those basic games that we played for hours and hours and hours.
Sure, they were the pioneers.
They were the pioneers, and sitting there going to the new 50-year anniversary logo. What they've done is they've gone back to that nostalgia, and what they're trying to do is play on your heartstrings, play on your emotion of that. Remember when?
Yeah,
and that's the story that they're telling with this new logo. The story that they're telling with this new logo is the fact of remember when you were a kid and you unboxed that brand new Atari 2600 game, you got to play Pong or Space Invaders for the first time. And that you were the cool kid in the block because you had 4 cartridges,
I like that. I remember that.
Those were the days. So a lot of companies right now are going back to their nostalgic roots, trying to get people to remember the story.
Such a powerful emotion, though, Ben.
Exactly. It's all about emotionally driving. And that's what most brand stories are. They're emotionally attaching people to the brand, one way, shape, or form.
Fabulous. Well, thank you
Wow.
for sharing that. That's a wonderful example. I've got a couple of slides to wrap up with as we round third. We're coming into home.
There we go.
One of the things we wanted to talk about is this, which was we briefly mentioned it, but the idea of your living brand.live is a show that you've dedicated a ton of time to. Are you over 200 episodes now?
Oh, I'm closing in on 300.
Okay. Oh my God.
I'm closing it on 300 episodes.
And in many of those episodes, exactly what you're talking about is our summaries like today about what makes you different, what makes you special, what makes you stand out. And are you giving examples of that on the show?
You know, every show has a different guest, and each guest has insights from their lives, from their business lives, lessons that they've learned and things that have helped make them better and the people around them better. And the show is a 35-minute conversation about what are the things that we do to be able to be unique and different in the world.
Love it. That's cool. And guess what? You happen to be a published author. Oh my goodness. That's not something everybody can say. And so when we said we needed a subject matter expert, Jeff, ta-da, look at this.
There we go. We got him.
He's got 2 books out, The Powerful Personal Brands. And then you were telling us the story that the other one that's on the right side, the red one that says Leading Beyond a Crisis, this came from what? What was the genesis of this, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, Powerful Personal Brands, a hands-on guide to understanding yours, is a workbook. It is stories from my life, lessons that I've learned. And at the back of most chapters, I ask a question and I leave 2 or 3 lines for people to be able to answer their own questions. So it's all about getting you to understand who you are, what you do, and why you do it. So that's why I wrote that book. Leading Beyond a Crisis was written during COVID, and it was Claire Chandler and I were introduced, and very early in COVID, maybe April or May, we started talking about, okay, people have got to stop grabbing their knees and rocking back and forth. We got to figure out what's coming next.
What's next?
What's next? And so we created a podcast, and it was 14 or 16 episodes where we talked about not only this crisis, but crises in general. How do you survive a crisis? How do you look beyond? How do you move beyond the panic into what's next, and how to succeed and thrive and as a leader? And what we did is we took those audio versions of the podcast, we transcribed them, we edited them, and we turned it into the book.
It's brilliant.
And so what we did is we used the podcast as the medium to create the book.
Very nice.
And both of these books are available on Amazon.
I was just about to say, yep. Can we get them on Amazon? And
You bet.
the answer is yes, Jeff.
Yes.
We can get them on Amazon.
Just search for Ben Baker on Amazon, and probably both my books will come
So I think it's really smart that we're wrapping up this way, because we've talked about some of the tools in the toolbox. We've talked about obviously promo for us and our industry, branded merch, apparel, all of those things. But I love the fact that you talked about podcasting, that we were able to talk about, how you used a podcast to launch a book, and how that book, I'm sure you're using in lots of other ways, where you're able to
on
take
stage. It gets me new clients. It gets me, different relationships.
That's totally a strategy that anybody that's watching today, if you think you can't do it, I know you can do it. And the thing that's cool about it is you will do it in a fresh way that maybe I wouldn't have thought of, or Jeff wouldn't have thought of. But you now have a resource and a subject matter expert with branding Ben the Brander. It's all these B's. It's tough to get the alliteration right. But Ben, you have done us a big favor in being our subject matter expert. Jeff, you're the guy that usually brings it home. What should we do on this wrap up?
Well, I think we've really covered it well. I mean, I don't really have any more great words of wisdom. Look, it's I started to try to jump in with the bit on.
Yeah, he was starting to go for that taco.
I'm ready to go.
Ben.
Okay, like that.
We'll get the taco back up. Okay, we got the taco back up.
Yeah, Ben did a big line, and I'm all like, "Oh, let me do that line I do about, oh my God, we poured some hot sauce on the taco again," but it was too deep, and we moved on. And so now I think it's appropriate to wrap up that we have a tacos show here that's loaded with not only our tacos with Jane Jeff spices, but some hot salsa as well. And thank you so much, Ben, for taking time. What a pleasure. We go back a long ways, and I hope to see you soon, whether I'm up visiting Canada, you're in the Vancouver or Expo, or at some point. So,
Well, if you guys want to bring me down, I've been in keynotes for 10 years. If any of your listeners want to bring me into their organizations to do some keynotes or consulting or workshops for their people, that's what we do.
there you go. Regional.
That's what we do.
got a
So
pitch for
reach out
street
to me. The main
regionals, all
website
that
is
stuff, yeah.
yourbrandmarketing.com. Go to yourbrandmarketing.com, and I'm always available to be able to sit there and say, how do I help your teams be better? How do I help your teams tell the story better and teach them how to tell their clients stories better?
Yeah, that's essential. Good work. Well,
All
there you
right.
have it. I know somebody will reach out, but Ben, thanks again for your time. Until we get to see you in person soon, take care, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I've always enjoyed your company. It's always fun talking to you guys.
Well, we try to make it fun, but we couldn't do it without you. So thank you. Until next time, everybody, we'll see you soon. Take care, be safe. And that's all we got. Tacos with Jay and Jeff.